हरे कृष्ण। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि विचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। Balaram Shakti Pro is little is taking rest. Is sick little bit. Is tired actually. So we'll just try to discuss. Now, very important thing is that what we identify in this material world. We'll just discuss on this just for a few minutes. How our consciousness, it is, I'm just sharing the screen. It is said that three things are essentials of human life. A person strives for some material object, a person wants to gain some knowledge that gives him certain sense of control over the environment, and a person needs activity. So these are the three things that that are very essential for a living entity. And we see that anything we are we identify is with these three things only. So just like one is called dravya, so which is correspond to the material nature of ignorance, tamoguna. And when this is actually what is the whole world, is entire universe is filled with this tamoguna. And jnana, the knowledge part implies a sattva guna, because sattva brings knowledge. And then activity is rajoguna. So we are identifying with these three things: sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. So it is clear here. So our activity, and second thing is the knowledge, and then third is the uh, uh, material part of it. So these three things are what we are identifying with, and accordingly we start. And then what happens next comes is ahankara, which makes us do all these things. Just a second, I will. Now then there are three gunas. So these three gunas, they symbolizes. Uh, they actually, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the living entity is completely misled by these three gunas. They fickle, and this veil of material energy, the illusion of Maya, completely hides from us the truth. So we do not understand who we are, who is God in any relationship we are within. So, not what we need to do. And what happens is we become entangled in this endless chain of cause and effect because of this, which we ourselves create as a result of our false ego. That is the position in the material world. So this is it is very important. It is not about anyone else, because Lord Brahma says also the that this illusion happens to everyone. Even Brahma says it happens to me. I am the creator of the material universe. I have four heads. And he says we have only one head. That is also not very big like Brahma. He has four large ones. His whole body is created with buddhi. He says, even I don't understand. I am completely confused. Why? Because of modes of material nature that they prevent one from seeing the truth, seeing Krishna. So this is why we are all affected. We are completely in this Adibhotika, which means in essence, the objects of material world. Adhyatmika means knowledge of or consciousness of oneself, and Adidevika is the system of external control that governs the living entities. So we have these three types of setting: Adibhotika kleshas and Adidevika klesha and Adhyatmika kleshas, right? So this is all continuously, it's all with the three modes. Now, in order to penetrate beyond this veil, a person must abandon a very desirable thing. What is that? The tendency to absolutize his own mind. That means whatever I am thinking is right. So this mentality we should give. When a person declares that his mind, his manas is a creation of truth, the only creation of truth, when a person tries to comprehend God with his mind, what happens is he condemns himself to a miserable existence in this material nature and cannot go beyond this. So we discussed today also that we are hearing, but if we are using our logical mind to understand, we cannot understand the truth. We have to at one time, just with our heart, we should start listening. So that is. But when we are just seeing everything, comprehending with our mind, then what happens is we condemn ourselves to a miserable existence in the material nature, and we cannot go beyond it because we set a limit for ourselves. Because I announce that my mind, by definition, is actually limited. The world around me, that with this mind I can know God, it's actually not. It is very difficult. So, and very important thing is what happens is one who is not comprehended by the senses and not comprehended by the mind. That is actually adokshaja, means Lord. So wa- we cannot comprehend. But the if the mind is poisoned by my false ego, if I still try to put my false ego in the center and try to declare my mind as a criteria of truth, then accordingly the very tool with which I must know God brings me, and therefore it says like, you know, uh, it is incomprehensible. Lord is called Adokshaja, Alakshata, means incomprehensible. So Krishna is also talking about this, like he tells to Mother Devahuti also, and he tells uh, the it in Bhagavad Gita he says that this Maya is Mama Maya Duratte also, right? Kapil Dev is also telling that how difficult it is. So my Maya is very difficult to work because the very instrument that God gave us so that we can know Him, this instrument also becomes the abode of Maya. So Maya is actually within us, in our minds, and therefore it is very difficult to understand Krishna. So what is the only way to understand Krishna is to rely on His grace only. So people who try to understand God through their minds are actually doomed to failure. Klesho adhikatarastesha avyakta sakta avyakta hi gata. It's actually a difficult path, not possible. So because like Gyanis people who believe that cause of all causes is ignorance of it's because of ignorance all troubles are right. Now the source, the root of our liberation from ignorance is knowledge. So everyone acts like we are trying to gain knowledge, but knowledge can be used to get rid of ignorance. If knowledge is opposite to ignorance, like in this it's actually not so easy also, unless Krishna dadami buddhi yogandam, Krishna says he gives this understanding. So we need to understand that essentially it the jnana is with our mind is limited only, because it is by Krishna he gives. Now we will discuss that uh, if we properly unwind ourselves and sit down, we will feel like the axis of the universe, because the whole universe will revolve. Generally, we feel it's revolving around us only. Means we want to have things according to our will. Now, we don't even have anything to imagine, because we have already uh, have some understandings. And then we sit down and we are trying to watch the whole world spin around us, and at the same time suddenly someone comes up to us and said that the whole world does not revolve around us, it revolves around me. So then there is a dispute, because everybody is convinced about it. The problem is that even if I find out that the whole world does not revolve around me, I still continue to see it in that way only. Even if I believe that the world revolves around someone else, around uh, Krishna, it still seems to me that it is revolving, because my mind is conditioned. Because literally means mind is, or the ability to perceive. This is the perceiving ability. So my perceiving ability is already turned to the world in a certain way, and it is very difficult for me to comprehend reality with help of my perceiving ability, because it is because in itself is defective, right? I can even preach to all the people, the world does not revolve around me. But when it comes to application, I don't do, at least especially I know. We use it as a way to make it all the same revolve around me. So even if I'm telling it does not revolve around me, but ultimately I'm trying to indirectly tell that only. So, how some people use the preaching of God in the end to glorify themselves, right? So, preachers, they're there who use the name of God to glorify themselves, to make money, to enjoy sense gratification. So, because we already perceive the world in a certain way, and since I perceive the world in certain way, I need more than just knowledge. Your understanding? It is not just knowledge that I need. I also need mercy in order to get rid of it. That is the point. So, if it is not for mercy, just by reading some Veda Shastras, all the jnanis would have immediately overcome ignorance. But it don't happen. They also do bhakti, because they know we need mercy to overcome. Like that. So, I will not be able to get rid of all these problems. Very difficult for people, because uh, and this whole world people, everyone is quite crazy, so it's difficult for them to explain, because Prabhupada writes one article, who is crazy? So with a question mark, if you remember that. And people, Prabhupada said, they think we are crazy and we know they are crazy. Prabhupada said, because everyone accuses each other of insanity. It all depends on the criterion. He is assumed that he is not crazy and everyone else is crazy. Same thing. One now so many riots happen around the world in different countries. Why? You know, in our neighboring countries, here, there, every day, there will be somewhere in the world. And the people who are doing, they think they are right. And the people who are managing are crazy. And the people who are managing, they think these people who are doing rights are crazy. So it's everybody accuses each other of insanity. It all depends on the criterion. Each assume that he is not crazy and everyone else is crazy, but it is very difficult to find objective criterion. So, like, it is said that there is a saying like the little boys teased a crazy uncle all the time, and this crazy uncle walked and complained to his aunt and said that the boy is crazy, he teases me. So the child is teasing the uncle, he's crazy, and the uncle thinks the child is crazy. Because it all depends on how you look at this. So there is such a parable about one magician. So this I told. This is a nice story. What happens is he comes to a city, and the city was in the some very eastern country. It's very hot place and summer. And that time a magician comes to the city of this kingdom, and there they were having two wells in the city. All the people used one, and the king and his close companions, they used to use another well, two wells. So it was separated, separate well for the king and his family. Now what happened? This magician went to the first well and he sprinkled some powder there and said that my friends, anyone who drinks water from this well, they will become crazy. And at first the king was irritated because this person nobody can do anything. He's very dangerous fellow. So he thought, well, I am saved. At least my well is not suffered from this. And the people for some time they control themselves from not drinking. But after that, ultimately they could not resist. They went and drank. So it is. They decided it is better to be crazy than death also. So one by one they started drinking, and as soon as they started drinking, then they started become crazy. The whole city went crazy, and people went outside. They started screaming. They began to dance. They began to, and the king, he looked at all these people and he started rejoicing. He said, "Okay, my God." And he has his own companions and his family was there on the top of the palace and they are looking down how people are becoming crazy. And he said, "At least I am saved. At least I have a normal mind." And he looked at his wife, children, and other things and he said, "Oh, we are normal." But his joy, it was very short lived. What happened is, uh, because the minister and special close ministers they all got the water from this well only, but as soon as the crowd they raised in front of the palace, and what happened, everybody started shouting, "Oh, our king is crazy, we need to overthrow him." Because since the whole king's army and everybody citizens, everybody drank it, they are all behaving differently. And they all became crazy and the king looked little normal, but from their perspective king was not normal. So the king immediately went to the minister and said, "What should I do?" King said, "I will hold the citizens for some time. You immediately run to that well and you also drink from that poison, whatever the crazy well." And as king immediately ran and he drank water from this. And then, as soon as the crowd looked at the king, because he also became crazy, then they were all very happy. They say, "Long live the king. Finally, our king has some sight." So he got his sight, and our king has become normal. So, this is actually the state in this material world. Everyone in this world is abnormal. Ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti manyate. Everyone in this world is intoxicated by his poisoned water of false ego. So because we always drink this nectar drink, which is uh, not amrita, which is mrita, that which leads us to death actually, a false ego. And since everyone uh, is full of this false understandings, this drink which has intoxicated us So we cannot get rid of this illusion. So when we find out something, then it is actually not sufficient. Like Bhagavatam describes that what fate a gyanis they get. People can be a great gyanis. They can know well transcendental, so much transcendental knowledge. The trouble is that they can understand the spiritual knowledge, but the ego does not go. And since they have an ego, they still have a difficult time. So this is the main problem for Gyanis. So yeah, so we will just discuss some more points I wanted to share, but we'll just read some purport and then we'll come back to this aspect. Okay, I'll just finish few more points. It's very interesting. It is said that uh, this is very difficult to give up false ego, because when what happens is the Kumaras, the little sages in the form of 5-year-old boys, when they went to Vaikunta, they came to the spiritual world. They passed through the 6 gates of Vaikunta, and it was built in a form of fortress with 7 walls surrounding. Now we need to go through all these gates. They reached the seventh gate. At the seventh gate, they saw Jay and Vijay, the guards. So in this form, it is impossible. They say, not proper, you are naked, you are small boys. It is not the way to enter the Lord. And he said, and besides, they said, my Lord, he told me not to let anyone. And what did they do? They immediately became angry, right? Four Kumaras. So where did this anger come from? This anger come from false ego. If I were angry, it means that we are wrong, because emotions itself means that we are wrong, that we are in ignorance, that we have this lies inside this. So Arjuna became very emotional. Krishna said, no, 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 that is not correct. So when Krishna becomes emotional, then we say it is Leela. But when we become emotional, it is sin. Because if I am angry, that means why I am angry? Not because things are not according to my opinion. It is not my opinion, and then it is somebody else. If I am angry because I don't think, does not mean that I consider myself generally as God. So that's why we become, because things don't go any way our way. It's always Krishna. So even if I'm very great personality like Brahma, even for him also things don't go according to him. So the same, there is the Kumaras, they came to Vaikuntha at the same time. They consider themselves, uh, they consider their ego was there. So, and when something happened not in their way, so ego means what? I think I am the doer, I am the controller. So when things happened not their way, they become angry. They got so angry that they began to curse, sprinkles some water. So what did devotees do when it was in that situation, Jay Vijay? They said, please forgive us, and it is our responsibility. And even Lord also said the same thing. So they didn't had ego, you see. Jay Vijay immediately they asked forgiveness. But whereas Kumaras became angry, Jay Vijay did not become angry. So this is the difference. No ego and false ego. So in other words, only an understanding of our true ego can save us from false ego. So this is the point. Just getting rid is not enough. Just understanding that I have false ego is not enough. Just understanding that it is like because a religion teaches a person to gradually amend the fact that his mind is the measure of all things and that he is the center of everything. So please try to understand. So this is the theme we were discussing today. We should abandon the fact that mind is the measure of all things and that we are the center of everything. So if first a person first accepts some rules, some restrictions and something else, and thus he accepts someone over himself, so someone else power, This is very important. Accepting somebody above ourselves, accepting somebody's powers, and accepting some kind of restrictions. A person gradually gets rid of false ego. If you want to get rid of false ego, we should have a person above us, that is guru or mentor, and we should also accept the power of the Lord, and then some kind of restrictions, some rules. So then slowly the ego will go. This is a very first step that a person must take. But if he limits himself to the no, the steps, this will not enough. People who just accept the rules, they are nemagra, they are just fanatics. People who reduce everything to some kinds of rules. Okay, this will become another topic. But hopefully you understood whatever we discussed till now. So how mind is actually is cheating. So we should be very careful and try to come out of this conditionings and try to understand. So three things we discussed: Ka- dravya, jnana, kriya. Dravya is the whole and material energies and things around us. So we start identifying with the things: my house, my car, my this, my that. And then comes knowledge, jnana. Jnana is the experiences we get. So if you are traveling here, there, so why people travel? Because they want to gain experience. And people, they want to eat this, that. This is all experience only. So that comes under jnana part. And then we want to act, we want to perform some activity. So this is comes under karma, like that. So here we see that Bhumi Devi, she was not giving grains, and immediately Prithu Maharaj came into action. So there was three questions that was asked by Vidura. How did Prithu milk the mother earth, and what was the cause? And then he asked the second thing is, why did Indra steal the horses? And third thing is, what did four Kumaras give? What instructions they gave? So these are the three questions that were asked. And answering that, he starts with this, and he says that immediately there was crisis. So we discussed this part also. That material nature, no matter how much we are good, how much we are doing, there will be crisis. And Prithu Maharaj came, and as soon as he became the king, it started with crisis. He has to deal with the first crisis. We were discussing yesterday also. Any good news will be always associated with something in this world. Nothing good will come. And interesting, especially in India, you will find that marriages, every marriage, no, not every marriage, but many some marriages, there will be always some dispute, some misunderstanding. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's a very happy occasion, but there will be somebody who will be little upset. Because you cannot do it without that in this metal world. uh, that in South India, and of course North India also, you have so many rituals to perform. So so we have so many rituals to perform. Not only rituals, you have to give so many gifts and all. So there will be some what do you say, some problems in the gifts, and then somebody is upset. Such a happy occasion, but it won't go completely happy. And then even if it is everything goes happily, but the girl side, they'll be sad because the girl goes from the house, like that. So what I am telling is that metal nature is like that. And here Prithu Maharaj entered, and immediately they said, "Arey, we are in trouble." So Prithu Maharaj, then we discuss about protection. Protection of body, mind, and soul. We give food, shelter, and other thing for the body. Mind is giving proper occupation. So please understand. Protection, the government is responsible to give proper engagement to the citizens. If they are not, then they will end up in rogues, thieves, and lazy people. And the third thing is spiritual practices. So this is what is the responsibility of a king. And the root of then Maitreya is telling that Prithu Maharaj is trying to understand the root of the problem. So root of the problem is after hearing this lamentation, seeing pitiable conditions, King Prithu contemplated what is the root, and he understood that this is because of Mother Earth. And immediately he took up his arrow and started aiming at Mother Earth. Then Mother Earth, when she saw that he is coming to kill her, then she took the form of a cow and began to run. So why she took the form of a cow? Because cow and woman are not to be killed, not to be punished. So she thought I can escape. But Prithu Maharaj did not budge. He is still running and trying to chase her. Then the Mother Earth, she went to outer space. Wherever she went, Prithu Maharaj was following. Wherever you go, your network follows. Just a man cannot escape cruel death. The Mother Earth could not escape from Prithu Maharaj. Then she started telling to Prithvi Maharaj, Are, how can you kill me? Then she gives few reasons. Here in this shloka, she gives five reasons. Three reasons that I am a woman, I am a cow, I am surrendered. Two reasons she says that you are incarnation, you are kind. So then two things she told about her position and about Lord's position. So that's how we can uh, deal with the crisis. So we have to glorify the other person also, which will help. And Mother Earth is doing the same thing. He said, you are actually responsible person. He says that, and she also continues. She says, I am very poor and not, and I also not sinful. And you know the religious principles. So she uh, explains this, like, you know the religious principles, and I am not sinful also. So you should not do anything to me. Even if one woman does commit some sinful activities, no one should place his hand on her. You see, women should never be beaten. This is very dangerous. And what to speak of you, dear king, who are so merciful, you are protector and you are affectionate to the poor. So your position is very special. Then Mother Earth continues, I am just like a strong boat, and all the paraphernalia in this world are standing on me. So I am protecting. If you break me, everybody will drown in Garbhodak Ocean. So she gives the main reason. She says, I am supporting. So I am supporting living entities. So you don't have any choice. You just have to accept it. Further, Prithu says to the Prithu replied to the earthly planet, My dear Earth, you have disobeyed my orders and rulings. In the form of a demigod, you accepted your share of yajnas we performed, but in return, you have not produced sufficient food grains. For this reason, I must kill you. So then he started giving threats. He said, No, no way, I'm going to kill you anyway. You come as a cow. Because we see in Krishna, Krishna is killing Vatsasura and other demons. So uh, Vatsasura and Arishtasura. Both are in a cow form. So he didn't mind killing them. He knows they are demons. Of course, Gopis took an objection and then Radha Kund came because of that. But as such, it is not. So Prabhupada writing, a cow-shaped earth planet submitted that she not only was a woman, but an innocent and sinless one. Thus, she argued that she should not be killed. Besides, she pointed out that being perfectly religious minded, the king could not violate the religious principles that forbid killing a woman. So, it's a very important thing. She should not know violence, could not violate the religious principle. Why? Because, like, say, if a child is committing some wrong, very small child, then he is not punished. Parents are taken responsible. They say you are not training your child properly, but they don't punish the child. They just try to tell her, you don't do it. This is chastisement. And a physical abuse like beating and other things that should not be done. So here also the same thing. It says that uh, very important instructions. Women, how they need to be treated very properly. No beating, no Some chastisement is needed, they can give, but they should not beat, no physical abuse. So very clear in the Shastras. People don't follow Shastra, that is a different thing. But Shastras are already guiding properly. There is no message that is not covered. Everything is covered. So Pratimara informed her that first of all she had disobeyed his orders. This was her first sinful activity. Secondly, he accused her of taking her share of yajnas, but not producing sufficient food grains in return. So this is parasparam bhavayantam. So Krishna tells Shreyam paramavapsasi. So when there is a mutual cooperation between the demigods and the living entities who are there on the earthly planet, and they are performing some sacrifice, then immediately the demigods they supply their needs. Now Krishna is telling the Mother Earth that she did not do two things. She's taking the share and not giving. So how the share goes, it's all subtle energy. Although you are eating green grass every day, you are not filling your milk bag. So we can utilize your milk. Since you are willfully committing offenses, it cannot be said that you are not punishable due to your assuming the form of a cow. So Prabhupada is writing in the purport. It says nicely. He says a cow eats green grass in the pastures and fills her bag with sufficient milk so that the cowherd men can milk her. Yajna, sacrifice are produced to performed to produce sufficient clouds and that will pour water on it. The word praya can refer both to milk and sweet. And as one of the demigods, the earthly planet was taking shelter, taking her share in the yajnas, but she was not coming to uh, give it in return. So that's why Prithu Maharaj is threatening her. And the next shloka says that you have so lost your intelligence that despite my orders, you did not deliver the seeds of herbs and grains formerly created by Brahma and now hidden within himself. So So here Prabhupada writes, while creating all planets in the universe, the Lord Brahma also created the seeds of various grains, herbs, plants, and trees. When sufficient water falls from the clouds, the seeds fructify and produce grains, vegetables, fruits. By his example, Pruthimara indicates that whenever there is a scarcity in food production, the head of the government should take steps to see why production is being held up and what should be done to rectify the situation. So artificially also people try to do it. So government should check so that people don't get affected by the inflation and also other things. So so now he is giving his own arguments, Prithu Maharaj. He can produce grains himself, he's Supreme Lord, but he want Earth to do it. Like for Indra, he was not needing Indra for rains, he could produce himself. Same thing with Mother Earth also, he don't need her. But Lord is little merciful, he's giving opportunity for everyone to do some service. Otherwise, he don't need actually, he can do on his own. And not that he will get tired, or how many departments he can handle. There will be 20, 30 departments, and one single person how can he handle? The truth is that uh, the so this is very important that yeah. So here he says that here indicates how the government can arrange for the eating of cow flesh. It is here indicated that in a rare circumstances when there is no supply of grains, very controversial statement here by Prabhupada. So, and even Pruthumara says, with the help of my arrows, I shall cut you to pieces and with your flesh satisfy the hunger-stricken citizens who are now crying out of for want of grains. Thus, I shall satisfy the crying citizens of my kingdom. He is ready to kill a cow and is ready to feed. And Prabhupada is telling, in some, find some indications of how the government can arrange for eating of flesh cow. It is here indicated that in a rare circumstance, when there is no supply of grains, the government may sanction the eating of meat. However, when there is sufficient food, the government should not allow the eating of cow's flesh just to satisfy the uh, fastidious tongue. So, not for the tongue satisfaction. So, even actually, non-veg was not the staple food of even West also. I told this story for means the how it came because in the Middle Ages when there was industrial revolution, they wanted people to come to the city and work in industries. Otherwise, people were staying in the villages and they were happily growing their things and happy. So they said, okay, no, no, you should come and do something in the company. Now, what happened is when they came to the cities, they could not grow vegetables. There was scarcity in the food supply. Then they started making non-veg as the food. So they started killing animals because that is easy to keep them, the livestock. And then they started supplying this meat. And people started taking, consuming because they don't get this fresh food. They thought, okay, this is only fresh. And it so much happened because it almost like uh, it is uh, some how many at least if it is in 18th century 17th 18th century, so almost 300 years back we can say. So after that everything changed in the west, so people became so dull for spiritual life. Materially they are very intelligent, but when it comes to spirituality they're completely dull because their eating food is very bad. So this is a very important thing. If our food is wrong, then our mind becomes very dull and it is not fit for spiritual practice. Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. Sattva shuddho dhruvasmati. So these are all connected. So we have to very carefully observe this aspect that uh, the government is responsible and there are provisions also, such provisions. And unfortunately, this non-vegetarian became the staple food of so many Western countries for no reason. Unfortunately, they were nicely taking grains and vegetables and they were nicely situated. But now they eat, and they eat cow flesh also very frequently. And can you imagine how it will be possible for them to practice any Krishna consciousness? They are so sinful. So it is not like that. So Prabhupada is writing that, in other words, in rare circumstances when people are suffering for want of grains, meat eating or flesh eating can be allowed, but not otherwise. The maintenance of slaughterhouses for the satisfaction of tongue and killing of animals unnecessarily should never be sanctioned by the government. So this is a very important uh, point for us. Prabhupada writes very interesting thing. As described in the previous verse, the cows and other animals should be given sufficient grains to eat. If, despite a sufficient supply of grains, a cow does not supply milk, and if there is an acute shortage of food, the dried up cow may be utilized to feed the hungry mass of people. And according to the law of necessary, first of all, human society must be provided food, grains, and vegetables. But if they fail in this, they can indulge in fresh flesh eating. So otherwise, not. So this is the rule, that criteria that is given. So if you don't have anything, like you remember, Vishwamitra eats dog's flesh once. So one time there was a drought for 12 years. Vishwamitra could not get anything to eat. So once he goes to a house of a Chandala, who is a dog eater, and on the roof of his house, he dried a dog so that he can eat later. And Vishwamitra comes and he looks at that flesh of a dog on the roof. He said, I want it. Then the this Chandala. He says, "Oh, you are such a great Vishwamitra Muni, and how can you do this activity of eating a dog? Such a heinous thing." And then Vishwamitra says, "See, my name is Vishwamitra. I am meant to do something good for the society. For that, I should live. I should be alive, right? So better I live, and then I'll be able to help." So he eats it, and he says, "I also have a power to digest. Digest in the sense, digest the karmic reaction. Also, we should be able to digest, not just the food. This is actually the problem that is happening to the people. They are eating all non-veg, this, that, but they are not, and they are telling we are digesting it nicely. On a physical level, they are digesting all the food, but uh, at a higher, deeper level, it is all entanglement. So, so they don't understand these simple truths. How dangerous. So Vishwamitra Muni, he could do it, but now people, they are getting digestion, but mental level the reactions are coming very badly to people. That's why very complicated life. And he says that a human society is presently structured. There is sufficient fruit grains. Interesting, na? People, they America and other European countries, they produce so much grains, wheat they produce. What they do, and they produce soya also. And what they do, they feed the livestock. They feed the cows, pigs, and all, and then they try to, what do you say, and they grow them. Are you are already getting grains. Why don't you eat grains? Why instead of feed cow and pig and then make them grow and cut and eat? So this is the problem. The human society is presently structured. There is sufficient production of grains all over the world. Therefore, the opening of slaughterhouses cannot be supported. In some nations, there is so much surplus grains that sometimes extra grain is thrown into the sea, and sometimes the government forbids further production of grains. The conclusion is that the earth produces sufficient grain to feed the entire population, but the distribution of this grain is restricted due to trade regulations and a desire for profit. So that's the reason. If you have read history, we remember this, like the wheat was poured into the ocean so that the prices will not come down, because extra surplus amount of grain comes, then person, uh, he tend to actually cheat and other things. So here we can see the same thing. And next shloka says that any cruel person, he be a man, woman, or impotent eunuch, who is only interested in his personal maintenance and has no compassion for other living entities, may be killed by the king. Such killing can never be considered actual killing. This is also very important. So even it is killing, but it is for a higher cause, so it will not come as a reaction. Otherwise, any killing, it is a reaction actually. Even the king also is punishing, it's a reaction. But because he is doing for dharma and a higher cause, so he will not get entangled. Same thing Arjuna. How many people he killed? He was killing thousands of warriors. But it is not considered sin only for a Kshatriya. Kshatriya will go to heaven even after killing so many people. But if other caste, other personalities do, then it will be a problem. So this is the point. So Prithvi Maharaj is telling, I'll kill because I am not doing for my sense gratification to eat. I am doing it to protect the citizens. So Prabhupada said the planet Earth is actually a woman in her constitutional form, and as such, she need to be protected by the king. Maharaj Prithu urged, however, that if a citizen within the state, be he a man, woman, eunuch, is not compassionate upon his fellow men, he or she may be killed by the king. Such killing is never to be considered uh, actual killing. So, as far as the field of spiritual activity is concerned, when a devotee is self sufficient and does not preach the glories of Krishna, he is not considered a first class devotee. A devotee who tries to preach who has compassion upon innocent people and who has knowledge of Krishna, is a superior devotee. In his prayers to the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj says that he was not personally interested in liberation. So this is very famous shloka of Prahlad. From this, rather, he did not wish to be liberated from material condition until all the fallen souls are delivered. So even in this material field, if a person is not interested in others' welfare, he should not be considered to be condemned by personality of Godhead. His incarnation, like Prithu Maharaj. So he says that you are very much puffed up with the pride and having become more almost insane. Presently, you have assumed form of a cow by your mystic powers. Nevertheless, I shall cut you to into pieces like grain, and I will uphold the entire population on my personal mystic power. So when Mother Earth gave so many reasons, that one of the reasons she gave is that uh, I am a woman and no all these things. How can you kill? Now, but king is informing, earth informed king that he could not destroy her, and he and his subjects would all fall down into the water of Garbhodak ocean. So this reason she used. But Maharaj said, no issues. I will, Prithu Maharaj now replies to the point. Although the earth assumed the shape of a cow by her mystic powers in order to save from being killed by the king was aware of this fact and would not hesitate to cut her to pieces, just like small bits of grains. So everything is possible for the Supreme Lord. We cannot use our logical brain. This is also a very important thing that with logic we cannot understand the Lord. Lord is beyond logic. Adokshaja. That means if a person is fat, he cannot be thin, right? If a person is very far, he cannot be near. What does it mean? It means this is the material logic. But in a spiritual realm, logic is different. If he's near means he can be far also, he can be near also. He can be Sadashiva also, he can be Narayana also. So everything is possible. We should not go into unnecessarily false notions. So here says, as far as the destructions of the citizens is concerned, Maharaj Prithu maintained that he could uphold everyone by his own mystic powers. He did not He did not need the help of earthly planet. Being incarnation of Vishnu, Prithu possessed the power of Sankarshana, which is explained by the scientists as the power of gravitation. The supreme personality of Godhead is holding millions of planets in the outer space without any support. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj could not have any difficulty supporting all the citizens and himself in space without the help of planet Earth. The Lord is known as Igneshwara. And Sir Yogeshwar, the power, mystic, the master of all mystic powers. So he can do it. So Lord said, I can manage, don't worry. I'll kill you anyway. So then Prithu Maharaj gives some more answers. He says that at that time, Prithu Maharaj became exactly like Yamaraj and his whole body appeared very angry. So he is transcendental anger, it's not mundane anger. In other words, he was angry personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered and with with folded hands began to speak as follows. So the Supreme Personality of God is death personified to miscreants and the Supreme Beloved Lord to the devotees. So Bhagavad Gita says, Mrityu Sarva Haraschaham. I am all devouring death. And faithless unbelievers who challenge the appearance of God will be destroyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when He appears before them as death, Hiranyakashipu, for example, challenged the authority of Supreme Personality of God. And Lord met him in the form of Narsinghdev killed him. Similarly, the planet Earth saw Maharaj Prithu as death personified, and she also saw him in the mood of anger personified. Therefore, she began to tremble. One cannot challenge the authority of Supreme Lord in any circumstances. It is better to surrender into him with and his full protection on all sides. Any questions, comments till now? Okay, we'll just take 1, 2 more verses. The planet Earth spoke, my dear Lord, O Supreme Lord, you are transcendental to your position, and by your intermaterial energy, you have expanded yourself in various forms and uh, species of life through the interactions of modes of material nature. Unlike some other masters, you always remain in your transcendental position and not affected by the material creations, which is rejected to different material creation. Consequently, you are not bewildered by material activities. So this is a big part, and we have till 36 only. Maybe tomorrow we don't have. On Monday we can complete. Thank you all very much. Any questions, comments on the topic which we discussed, or you want me to revise what we discussed in the first part, or you remember? Then no problem. If you want, we can discuss it. Okay, no need. You all remember. Very good. Thank you all very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, Prabhu Shivakumar.
Prabhu.
Then,
Prabhu, one question, Prabhu. You were talking about that point of we seeing the world as being the center, and
yeah,
tendency gets carried away even in devotion service.
yeah.
So I just wanted to hear, Prabhu, a few words on that. So does that mean that even devotion service can become a source of bondage if it's not done in right mode? And what can we do, Prabhu, to kind of keep ourselves off the center, even in our service to Krishna?
Yeah, because the false ego, like what we do, even we use spirituality to make ourselves popular, ourselves famous, ourselves strong, and so many other things can be done.
Mm,
So we were discussing that for giving up that ego, we should accept somebody above us as authority.
mm, mm,
That is the first thing.
mm,
And then we should not see everything very logically.
mm,
Kartaham iti manye. So this one thing is very important, that because if we have some authority above us, and we should follow the rules and regulations very strictly which are given by Lord, so that will also help us to give up that mentality that I am the
mm,
master, I am the Lord.
mm, mm.
So these are the solutions that are given to overcome.
Mm, mm, mm.
So
Okay.
Bhagavatam tells this. Of course, there are many other things, but this is immediately what I am remembering.
Mm, mm,
That
mm.
the authorities and rules and regulations will help us to overcome that
Mm,
mentality
mm.
that I am the center.
Okay, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, just one more question, Prabhu. So, you said the logic and reasoning it's limited and it can only reach at till some one point. So, does that mean even the self-realization has can only be achieved through faith beyond the point of our limited logic and reasoning, Prabhu?
Yeah, even for Jnanis also, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, they all have to practice bhakti
Mm,
to get realization.
okay.
It is not only for us, even for Jnanis and all, they also need to practice. Bhakti element is compulsory for everyone, because without mercy you cannot understand only.
Mm, 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 mm,
So it is applicable to all the people.
mm, mm.
Anybody, that element is compulsory to get realization.
Okay.
They can just mechanical level, they can go to some extent, but after that they have to take help.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll end here. Thank you all very much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.